to the World Economic Forum. My name is Nigok Mayen. I'm 13 years old.
I live in Kakuma refugee camp.
I am a Burundian by nationality.
I am a Sudanese girl.
When I finish my study, I would like to be a journalist.
I would like to be a doctor.
I would like to be a pilot.
I would like to be a lawyer. Thank you.
Freedom of the press and of expression, poverty eradication, in Lokipoto waters of irrigation sprinkle, bells of farming tinkle, our crops flourishing, livestock nourishing, in health and wealth we dance, economic rise to hit the mark, movement lighter, economic better, because of you, our babbling vision, decent housing up in construction, lighting up our vision bubbles, in rural electrification we shine, our rural areas shine, creating greater local opportunities. You shine in economic activities, in literacy and health. Zoom, healthier and wealthier we grow. Free primary education bubbling, free day secondary bubbles. Our vision bubbles with technology, our learning at tablets, our reading at tab on the tablets. We sing sweet songs of success because of you, our bubbling vision. Virtues of equality. Zoom, women icons of dignity, offices they hold with integrity, our healthcare bubbling with facilities, cheap and affordable healthcare we see, free maternal care we see, our leaders are handshake one, our people in unity one, more decent housing, come, more handshakes of peace and unity, come, this vision a landmark for me and you and I, our bubbling vision attain. Towards a globally competitive nation, a prosperous nation, keep bubbling, bubble to our canon. It's us, the Angelina Jolie girls. Gratitude.
Understand why I wanted to show you the video. So if you haven't met me before, my name is Lady Mariam Jam. I'm the founder of iamtheCODE. And this is a very intimate meeting. So it's live streamed right now. We're going to have Georgia joining us, and it's getting late, of course, in Europe. But we hope the minister will join us, and then many people will join us later on. There's a President Trump at the UN, and all the African ministers are there. But I wanted to have this event, as always, when I come here, and thanks to PwC, my friend Bushan, to give us this space where we can have our intimate moment, just to be here with one another, and to show you the progress. And you've been at the UN for so many times. You've been coming here. But for me, when I come to the UN, I just want to give something and leave something behind as I take back the flight and go back home. And the reason why this year we wanted to do this, we wanted to do something very meaningful to show what we've done for the last 10 years. And that video you saw was done in 2017. That was in a refugee camp in Kenya, where I just went as a young global leader. As an African woman, I was very concerned, and they said, we will go there and help these people. And when we went there, we made a commitment in front of government, in front of the girls. They woke up at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. in the morning, actually. They woke up and we brought the Argentinian team, and they made this amazing video for the girls. And I've been showing this video all around the world. Why is that? Because what I wanted to show is consistency for the last 10 years. And yesterday, Bushan was telling me, what do you want to get out of this event? And I want to show you how hard it is to do this sort of work. But without this consistency, this really going at it, in and out, we will not achieve this. And this morning, I was at an event, well-meaning people, you know, and they're talking about girls' education. And those people have millions of dollars in their bank accounts, millions of dollars, compared to iamtheCODE. But I was listening to the same thing, like, I said, but do you know what we are doing? How can we collaborate? Can you come to our event to see what's happening? And the timeline we are talking about here is 10 years. And I remember, going at the UN in 2015. I'm going to show you some slides in a minute. In 2015, going there and telling them, I will teach girls how to code. And many people were just like, are you sure you're going to do this? And we're now in 2025. I don't know if I can show my slide, Gabby. I don't know if I can do that. And just to show you a little bit about the timeline and why this is important. And the timeline will actually determine where we are today, why we're doing this. And as you go home, my hope is you're going to get the report. We will download it around 4 o'clock New York time. We're going to release the report because it's still embargoed. And we spent time and time and time in writing this to show the world 10 years. It's a long time, but you can really do amazing things as well. So before I get the Georgian, I think I've got Nino online, but I just want to show you a little bit of 10 years of what 10 years look like. So I was showing the video in 2015 when the HGs were being launched here. I remember sitting down in Rome and I told them, I will teach 1 million women and girls coders. And some people were really laughing, like, are you sure about coding? I said, yeah, I will teach girls how to code. And what you see now, and then the goal was I was telling them I will do 1 million women and girls coders. I will really do this. And people didn't believe in it because they had this mentality where Africa was poor and the girls need maybe sanitary pads, and which is absolutely normal bias people can have. But I wanted to show that if we get young women and girls to learn how to code, give them skills, it's going to work. And I didn't have any idea when I was going to the camp. I really didn't know if I would be able to have access to schools, access to girls. I didn't know all of this. But it took 10 years. It took 10 years to do all of this. And this was the day, actually, when my friend Amadou Makhtar Ba gave us a moment at the UN. And I remember I didn't know New York. I didn't know where, things were. And they said, you have to come. Ban Ki-moon is there. Everybody's there. You have to come and we will show iamtheCODE on the high-level report. And that was the day I stood up. I said, this is my commitment on the SDGs. While we're talking about business and investment, I will make sure the communities are involved. This was the day. I remember this day. And we had Christine Lagarde in the room, Ban Ki-moon, Sadia Zahidi, big people, 12 council people that really give us, around 5 minutes to talk about iamtheCODE. That was the day. That's why we're celebrating the 10th year when I made the commitment in front of everyone that I will do this. And down the line, we have this, everything you do, you have to have people around you. And I am very lucky to be part of this young global leaders community. And these people you see right now are the investors. They're the one that gave us the seed capital. I remember us doing a journey in Japan, in Tokyo. They said, we will help you. These are young global leaders. And that's why iamtheCODE is not just an African movement, but it's ours, it's African. We can, in 2030, 5 years from now, we can demonstrate one single story that we have been doing consistently for 10 years. And those are the investors of iamtheCODE. And they are young global leaders at the World Economic Forum, investors, business owners, and they gave me around $5,000 as a collective. So iamtheCODE is now, it's not just for the girls, but it's all of you are part of this global movement. And I decided that I'm going to now focus on the SDGs to make sure that we can demonstrate evidence. What is missing around the world is it's not because we don't have so many programs running, but we don't have evidence of impact. And I wanted to really constantly show that we can create evidence. And so far, we have so many young people into the iamtheCODE program. And you see on the report, we are now halfway. Over 550,000 people have been reached by iamtheCODE in 88 countries. And I've been traveling in and out. Kakuma, Dadaab, in and out. Keeping consistency with these girls. I met them when they were 11 years old. Some of them are now 20, 21 years old. We have coders, people who are building solutions. They're getting jobs. And I always remember that day when the guy said to me, are you sure about coding? And that's why we have evidence-based information. It's a live data that you can see, and it's owned and managed by Salesforce. The World Economic Forum helped me to find a partnership with Salesforce, where Salesforce can control the data, clear KPIs, what the girls are learning. We then went to Georgia, which my friend Nino is on the stream right now. We then went to so many countries. We then opened an AI institute in Georgia, near Russia. And people are saying to me, why can't you do that in Rwanda or in Kenya or somewhere else? Because if you think about the refugees and their lives, they need to go somewhere. And we can see now what's happening, the geopolitics. They cannot come here. Or they cannot go to somewhere else. But Georgia is a safe space, a safe country where they have amazing universities where the girls can go and learn. And we've been lucky to work with Nino, Rector Nino and her team on the ground to make sure that when the girls in Kakuma in the future want to go to Georgia, they have facility to do this. Because these girls, at the end, everything must lead to employability. People need money in their pocket. That's why you will hear from Nino in a minute. The evidence we also show is people traveling with me in and out, well-meaning people. Beatrice is our donor, and she's been supporting us for the last 4 years. Consistent support, not backing off, and they really can see where we're going the next 5 years. And we don't have a lot of money at iamtheCODE, but we managed to get really consistent donors who can give us their money and they can see what's happening. And the money goes to the girls. It pays for our operations and our travel. That Sunday, when I first met Sunday, she was 13 years old and she was traumatized as a child. Today, she's a climate change activist. The evidence I'm showing you is before and after. That's what is missing in this whole community, what we're doing here in New York. The before and the after. The timeline, I was saying to Sarah, how long does it take? The report is touching that. How long does it take? The journey of the girl, how long does it take to really empower someone in a very consistent way without giving up? That takes time. That's Sunday. Sunday today is a climate change activist. I met them when they were young, very young. Very, very young. That's Nyingok. That's Tiba. And that's their room in Kakuma. And I've been going there all the time, nearly 49 times. I can't count. I've been going there in and out. Now they're adult, young women. They're now 21, 22 years old. Nyingok wants to become a lawyer. That's Damaris and Abol. They want what we want. We've been recognized globally because of the work we're doing. Is the World Economic Forum, we've been recognized as a lighthouse because I made the program so easy to access. And I sit at the council at the World Economic Forum where we can really talk about reskilling. How do we reskill young people, especially the poor? They want to become climate change activists. Remember, these people, they live in that camp for 34 years. The Kenyan people, the kind Kenyan people, gave them their land in the Turkana County. And they've been there for 34 years. They've been there in and out, waiting for somebody to come and do something. That's why the iamtheCODE program has been there for all this time to show to the girls, we don't have the political power to change things, but we can give you the skills you need. In case something happens tomorrow, you can get out and have the skills you need as a young woman. We gave them laptops. They have food. When I went there, it was 1 meal a day. Now they have 3 meals a day. They're eating, they've got laptops, they know how to code, they've got content, they've got infrastructure. Is this something I want to do? No, but somebody need to do something. And I'm trying. We also give girls in South Africa, not just in Kakuma or in, like I said, we're in 88 countries. We go around the world to think that's why the report is addressing the social economic value for girls' education must be addressed, and we need that last mile of investment. It's not just giving girls laptop, but it's looking at the holistic view, the entire life of a girl. We train the teachers. We give them food. They have their laptops. the devices, they love working together. I'm going to end here just because I've got so much content to show you later on, but the point I'm trying to make, you have to think about me when I was a child in Senegal 50 years ago, 50, when I didn't have any nurturing like these girls. No education, completely negligence and abandonment, unnecessary suffering. Because the government or the society did not see the social academic value of girls' education. It doesn't matter which part of society you are in. And we invested in girls' education, and we've been to events and we talk about this. And you're going to hear from Priscilla when she's talking about the data, why it's important to really start thinking, showing the evidence. And we're going to have John MacArthur who's going to join us at 3 o'clock. John has been one of the guys who talk about sustainable development goals from the beginning. And when you read the report, you'll see people like Alexander Bett, who have been to Kakuma and writing about refugees. They are young global leaders who have been doing amazing work behind the scenes. What I wanted to do with the report is to get these people who I know for 10, 15 years, more than that, they've been sitting in their corner with no press, no PR, no nothing, working hard to show the evidence. That's where we are now. That's why we're doing this 10 years anniversary, to show the evidence. In the next 5 years, the evidence will be even bigger and higher because you are aware of it, and we would like you to be part of this. So in 5 years' time, when we come back here, we can demonstrate that 1 million women and girls learn how to code, they've been empowered, they're eating well, and they will stand up here having the microphone instead of me talking. That's what I want to share. Just hold that thought as I open the floor and give it to the live stream people. Gabi, I don't know if we can get that. And just see if we can get Nino from Georgia to join, because I know it's getting late now in Georgia. So just hold. Okay. Hello, Nino. Professor Nino, how are you? Can you hear us?
Yes,
I was just saying to everybody how excited I am to have you. We've been doing so many things together.
right. And thank you so much for having me. This is
Okay,
amazing.
over to you. Over to you. I don't know if we can hear Nino.
You're Lady Miriam, and once again, many
You want to bring
thanks.
the microphone maybe here?
I'm the code team, and congratulations, firstly, on the anniversary. The work you do is really outstanding, and I want to once again congratulate not only you and your fantastic team, but also all the girls and beneficiaries and participants of the program, which you run in more than 80 countries worldwide. So thank you once again for the work you do. So, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's really an honor for me to join you today and to address you when 80th session of the UN General Assembly takes place. I think we gather at a decisive moment, 5 years before 2030, when the clock on the Sustainable Development Goals is ticking louder than ever. And if we are to achieve SDGs, our commitment, I think, must be sharper, and our actions must be bolder, and our practices must be deeper. And as I represent higher education institution, I want to highlight that education is both a basic human right and the most powerful engine of inclusive economies. Without education, I think especially for women and girls, we cannot reduce poverty, ensure gender equality, or build resilient societies. And let's say that today, artificial intelligence adds new urgency to this mission. If used inclusively, AI can bring classrooms to remote villages, expand healthcare access to the underserved, and open doors to dignified work for millions. But if left unchecked, it could also deepen existing inequalities. So I think that United Nations must therefore champion inclusive access to AI as a global public good, so that technology lifts us all and not only some people who are privileged. As mentioned previously, this year we celebrate 10 years of I'm the Code global movement. And once again, I want to congratulate the amazing founder, visionary Lady Mariam Jam, for the achievement for this milestone over the past decade. We all know that I'm the Code has become the first and largest African-led global movement to mobilize governments, private sector, civil society around one very bold mission to teach 1 million women and girls to code by 2050. The movement has already reached more than 550,000 girls from refugee camps in Kakuma to rural Pakistan, Brazil, and beyond. And I'm more than happy and proud to be part of it since last year already. As the landmark report on the socio-economic value of girls' education, research and supported by really, I would say, a remarkable team of scholars at Georgia's Business and Technology University. In partnership with iamtheCODE, the research clearly demonstrates that coding is not just a technical skill, it's a pathway from survival to livelihood, from dependency to leadership, and from execution to innovation. When a girl from Kakuma refugee camp, for example, learns Python, she's not only gaining a digital skill, she's gaining hope, dignity, and a voice in AI-driven future. And when thousands of girls across the world gain access to I Am the Code curriculum, we're not just creating coders, we're building generation of leaders, innovators, and change makers who will shape the inclusive economies of tomorrow. None of this is possible without global partnerships. And I want to recognize UN Women also for standing with us from the very beginning, ensuring that girls' education is placed at the center of SDGs. And as I'm Georgian and I speak from Tbilisi, the capital of Georgia, I want to say that I'm especially grateful for UN Women Georgia, whose flagship programs like 500 Women in Tech, Women in AI, and many others grew into largest community of tech women in our country. Today, the network has expanded to nearly 14,000 beneficiaries, creating pathways for women from conflict-affected regions and beyond. Just to briefly tell you the story of my country, our history has been shaped by conflict and displacement. Women remain underrepresented in ICT, where only 28 or sometimes it depends on the year, but let's say 25 to 28% of specialists are women in ICT. Through the Business and Technology University, Georgia has gained thousands of women, many from IDP settlements, towns near conflict zones, and Georgian territories which are currently occupied by Russia. But it is through partnership with I Am the Code that this transformation reached, I would say, an entirely new scale. Women today are not only entering the workforce, but shaping the digital economy of tomorrow. This is more than training. It's about giving women the tools to move from survival to leadership and ensuring that Georgia becomes regional hub where I'm the Code mission is fully alive and thriving. It's not only education, it's commitment to SDG 4, SDG 5, SDG 8, and many others. And also I'd like to mention that as a young global leader from the World Economic Forum, well, where I started was I wanted to highlight the importance of us, Lady Mary, being the part of young global leader community at the World Economic Forum, because I have witnessed how the forum's community champions this mission on an international stage. From early days, Forum has been steadfast ally in ensuring that young women are not left behind in the digital revolution, and the YGL community in particular, I think that has amplified this mission, mobilizing networks, resources, and voices to champion the inclusion of girls in the economies of the future. And I'm really very proud and happy together with you to be the part of this community. What I wanted to highlight and what I want to address the guests who are listening us today is that education is for girls is not a charity, right? This is a peace building strategy for smart economics and social justice. And the data, at least according to the research which we will be presenting later, the data is clear. Each additional year of schooling raises women's earnings by from 10 to 20%. We know that universal secondary education for girls could save 3 million lives annually. Closing gender gaps in education and digital skills could unlock trillions in global productivity. Therefore, we must invest boldly in girls' education, in digital skills, and in inclusive AI. Let's remember that the girl learning to code in a refugee camp today may become an innovator who solves climate change tomorrow, for example. Or the young woman gaining AI literacy skills in Georgia today may build a platform that connects her entire region to the global inclusive economy. If we are serious about achieving SDGs, if we are serious about building peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable world, then we must be serious about educating and empowering girls. The future is not only about technology, it's about humanity, dignity, and shared opportunity. With I'm the Code, with the support of UN Women and different UN agencies, with our leadership and with solidarity of the World Economic Forum and all of you here attending the event in New York or online, I believe that we can deliver on the promise of 2030 agenda. So I thank you for your attention. I thank you for the partnership and looking forward to work with you on this mission. And thank you, Lady Miriam. And once again, congratulations on the amazing milestone. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. I'm looking forward to singing for our Negroni.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I'm coming. So, and everybody's invited. We have YGLs in the room, so I'm going to bring them to Georgia and they can come and we can celebrate with you as well. Please send our love to the research team. I know they're online, but we're gonna make sure the research team, Dr. Nino and Tosini are we're grateful really for the work they've done. So now we're gonna get John MacArthur, who is online, and then we're gonna get the Georgian girls who I went to see Nino, as I said. We did a massive hackathon in Georgia where the young girls develop amazing AI solutions. So you're gonna hear from the girls. But in the meantime, Dr. Nino, please stay online. We will get John MacArthur, my brother, to come and address the audience. John, good morning and good afternoon from Toronto, I guess.
Good afternoon. Pleasure to be with you.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you. Over to you. I was just saying how I would probably call you the father of the SDGs, but I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating by saying that.
You're being very generous, as always. Let me put it that way.
Over to you, John.
I would just say, delighted to be with you all. Sorry, I can't be there in person, but I've been listening into the past little bit. And Miriam, you asked me to reflect a little bit on I Am the Code and where it's been in the extraordinary past decade, and maybe some quick thoughts on where it might go moving forward. So I had the privilege of meeting Miriam probably a dozen years ago when we were sitting next to each other in a classroom, and I think spent about a day not talking to each other because there was so much going on, and it was only on the course of finally getting to talk to each other and somehow thinking that we had nothing to talk about, that we realized we had everything to talk about, and went down quite a journey of, I could only say, intense collaboration over quite a long time, and thinking about how the world could work better. And I do just want to say it's incredible to think back to 10 years ago this month when you were saying that you were going to be getting 1 million young women and girls to code. And at the time that seemed like a laudable but perhaps ambitious initiative. And I have two kind of general reflections on that. One is when you launched it, I thought if anyone can do it, it's you. But the second thing is when we reflect on it today, it's incredible not just that you've been doing, but how you've been doing it. In that spirit, I wanted to just flag a few key points that I think are of broader relevance. One is when we think back to that day when actually the final day of negotiations, when the Sustainable Development Goals were set after a couple of years of 193 countries hashing it out, the one phrase they kept coming back to, all the diplomats and negotiators, was, "We will leave no one behind, and we will support the furthest behind first." And this notion of leave no one behind was, I would argue, the through line of the whole thing of the Sustainable Development Goals. And that thought has in many ways faded from the forefront. And it actually didn't take too long to do so in the world. But some people never forgot it and never took it away from their primary focus. And I think, Miriam, what you and the team at iamtheCODE has done represents that better than anyone. And if one wanted to pick a way to get 1 million young women and girls to code, it probably wouldn't be starting with refugee camps in places like Kakuma, where you think about the people who have had, in many ways, the toughest lots in life imaginable, and starting with them. And I know very few people on the planet who have taken so seriously and literally the commitment to support the furthest behind first. And in that spirit, I celebrate you, Miriam, because what you've done is bring technology to people who may never have had access otherwise. But I think the other piece of it is you bring the spirit, which is so central to how you approach the technology. And I'll never forget, when we were talking about, iamtheCODE in the name, and I was too slow to clue in. It's like, what does that mean, iamtheCODE? And Miriam, you just said to me, I am the code. It's about what I can do. And ultimately, it's about what individuals as people can do with, we are the code for the code. And in that spirit, I think it was such a poignant and will stick with me forever resonant thought on people as code and our inner spirit as the code for the code. And as we think about how the world of artificial intelligence has only gone gangbusters and permeating the world and will only do much more so in the coming years, there is this notion of people learning to code, either to work with or through AI. But I think there's this deeper point of AI plus humans and how the human code works with the AI code to solve the problems in front of us. And in that spirit, what you have been doing and all it embodies, again, couldn't be more of a through line for what the world needs, of the code for the code for the code. And I have colleagues who are talking about now not just AI collaboration or AI plus human collaboration, but AI plus human collaboration, and how the AI can help us collaborate better to be better humans. And that has left me to think that I want to encourage for the next 5 years, as we gather on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly's 80th birthday, the notion of I am the code is a through line for anyone and all of us, in that we each bring our own spirit and passion to the endeavor. The bigger point I would argue that we need to all keep in mind right now is that the essence of collaboration is what makes it all possible. So I want to encourage a click through on the website to We Are the Code, because I think so much of it comes down to the we that makes everything that you, Miriam, and your team have done and made it possible. And if there's one thing, I wrote a piece a few years ago saying, you know, if you think about even the words United Nations, I don't think many people would say that the world feels terribly united right now, or even that it's all about nations. But what I think we are really living through is a moment of the need for action and uniting across communities, however people define their own community. So I deeply believe that we can be the code in order to make the spirit of I am the code, the one that leaves no one behind and brings humans and collaboration and technology into a new frontier. So thank you, Miriam, for all that you and your team do, and thanks for including me today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your powerful message. And then if you haven't seen, the reason why I wanted to include John's voice in this report, because again, evidence. And John is such a modest guy. He doesn't even talk about the stuff he's done. But you should see him in the corridors of the United Nations, of the world, pushing for the SDGs. Actually, we at the World Economic Forum, if the YGL, the Young Global Leaders, know about the SDGs, because of John. And we were around 4 or 5 people. So the World Economic Forum, he brought the Sustainable Development Goals inside the forum. And I'm an evidence-based person. I like telling what happened when you have the receipts. I have the receipts. When you have the receipts and you know history, you have to mention what happened. And so, John, thank you first of all for bringing the SDGs in the forum and making sure many people knows about it with your friends, and hundreds of people made them famous. But I couldn't do this report without your voice into it. So thank you on behalf of the girls around the world. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks. So you'll see John's section. You'll see John's section on the report and his views on that, of course. So we have some people in the. Can you hear us?
Hello, Lady Miriam. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you?
Great. First of all, thank you. I'm incredibly honored to be speaking today. And I'll just tell you a bit more about our project. During the hackathon, we addressed primarily the sustainable goal number 4, which is education. We also designed a learning platform to help students, especially underprivileged students, prepare for their exams, first in Georgia, and then we also plan to expand to other countries. And we're all very thankful to Lady Miriam for this opportunity to believe in ourselves and to contribute to our communities. And as young women from all around the world, because our team included women of 5 different nationalities, we hope to help Lady Miriam achieve her incredible mission of educating girls and empowering them for the future. It's no secret that most technology is concentrated in the West. And for us women in lesser known countries, it's extremely important to be a part of the global dialogue on technology. And education is also probably one of the most important things in the modern world. And after being inspired by Lady Miriam and other amazing keynote speakers this summer during the hackathon, we want to use our project to empower others in our communities. And here's to achieving sustainable development goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Daria. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'll see you very soon. You guys did a wonderful job. So I'll make sure you are connected to our African girls all around the world. Thank you so much. We're very proud of you.
That would be amazing. Thank
you so much. See you soon. Thank you. So the program is running and we need to get some people in. I will call my friend Bushan Shetty to come and just set the scene a little bit before Dr. Mwangi and Dr. Priscilla join us. Bushan, thank you for everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So glad we've got the technology working. It's thank you for everyone's patience working through that. I think you have to stand in the middle here for the camera to work with the live stream. So by day, I'm a consultant, which means I solve problems together with my colleagues here like Gabi and Renee in the room and thanks to them for helping us organize this. This is not our normal project, but by day I'm a management consultant, and I help companies solve some of the biggest problems around talent and AI and how they drive transformation and how they change their business and engage their people. And I want to share some reflections from that lens. I also did a few other things where I teach at Stern and I help with events like this and around social impact, because it's incredibly important to me as a father with 3 girls, and one of them is gladly here, looking at you right now, who she has a day off school, by the way, so she's not playing truants. But businesses today need skills. They need skills around technology, around coding, around the AI to review the code, because code's going to be machine generated in the future. But they need the human skills. They need to understand critical thinking. Businesses need people who can solve problems and think about the next generation of technologies that we're going to use, whether it's quantum computing or how to analyze data. They need the skills for people to interrogate all of the bad things that happen around technology, like cyber, like outages. We also need to figure out how we can consume all of the electricity that is needed to power some of these AI-generated machines. So businesses need a set of skills that are both technical, human, and business-centric. And that's incredibly important of why we're here today. So businesses need those skills. Now, if we look at demographics in the world, whatever business you run, whether it's a consumer products company in one geography, whether it's a global bank, we all need talent from around the world. That talent is employees, it could also be consumers. That talent, whether it's because of what's happening with the work permits with the H-1Bs here in the US, whether it's because we have an aging workforce in places like Japan and Korea, or whether it's we can tap into the demographic dividend with young populations in parts of Africa and India, which is my country of origin, we need to be accessing that talent as business people. And so it's not only can we equip people with the skills through education or through upskilling or through reskilling, as people are going to have to learn how to work with technology, it's about how do we access that talent from around the world. And that talent could be refugees in Kakuma. It could be people who are in urban centers in Bombay. It could be people from many different socioeconomics. So it is not charity. Businesses need skills. Businesses need talent because of the demographic issues. And businesses need talent and consumers from around the world. And this is why I pledge my spare time here, because I'm helping companies together with people like Renee and Gabi solve some of those problems around the world with their global businesses and talent strategies. But we know that the next generation, we need more talent. We need as many people as we can in the workforce to work on new business problems and new business models and new technologies. And so the skills piece is real. The other thing I want to say is it's not skills alone. One of the things that when I met Lady Mariam first, we talked about was well-being. She asked me why I run. I run 16 marathons. I try and run every day because it's important to my well-being. Because when I lost my parents passed away 15 years ago and 10 years ago, respectively. It was the only thing that helped me get through stuff, running. So everyone has their well-being mantra. Lady Mariam, she meditates for 25 years. Everyone in first world and developing world, everyone needs their aspect of well-being. It's what you eat, it's how you deal with problems, it's how you exercise, it's how you move through the world. Businesses need a healthy workforce, wherever you're from. And so some of the policy briefs that we've actually written with some colleagues of mine, we've actually looked and modeled that investments in well-being in your workforce actually drives better productivity, because you do not want stressed out workers who are worried about their job. You do not want unhealthy workers, whether that's physically or mentally, or even financially. You don't want people in levels of debt. So again, you'll see the report. We're talking about giving the dignity of skills, but the work that iamtheCODE is doing is also giving the dignity of health, dental, sanitary pads, exercise, physical movement. And the wonderful people from Georgia highlighted that when we spoke to them earlier as well. And so it's skills and it's also well-being. And the final thought I'll leave you with, I know we have a lot of people here who are part of think tanks. We have a lot of people here who are part of non-government organizations. We have people that are influencing policymakers. I'm a business person and a business person advising. I would say that we need to be pushing our policymakers to be pushing businesses to say, what are you doing about building your people's skills? As you're transforming your business, how are you educating people in the workforce? Even if that workforce is not going to be working for you in the next 2 years, what are you doing to educate people in your community, given they are the consumers of your products and services? And so we need to be, as influencers of policymakers, we need to be pushing them to be pushing businesses to say, it's not just implementing AI and driving that revenue. It's what are we doing for the people? What are we doing for our community? And what are we doing for our consumers? So let's push the policymakers. Let's share more and more success stories of where we're investing in those skills and those demographics. And so this is important, why education and business people and policymakers need to be working together. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from the other speakers, and I know we'll have a little time to informally discuss. So thank you for coming to our house at 300 Madison, and thank you for all the great work everyone is doing.
Thank you, Bushan. So, you know, you and I, we've been working so hard, and we've been doing this every year, and we try to create a very small, intimate community when we come to New York, right? Just the right people in the room. We can show what iamtheCODE is doing, because you can then hold us accountable, evidence-based information for the next 5 years. This is today just a meeting for us to, you can see what we've done for the last 10 years, but we have 5 years to go. We're not there yet. So that's why I want to call my dear sister, Priscilla. Priscilla, please come and tell us why data is so important in this. And you are one of the iamtheCODE board member as well. You hold me accountable every day. You have to do it. So please tell us how data will play in the next 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariame. And I'm Priscilla Ideli. I'm the Chief of Data, Population and Development at the United Nations Population Fund, a long name. And I've been working on the data and evidence space for the past 30 years. So I may look young, but I'm quite old if you trace back where I come from. I'm a Kenyan born. I see a brother and sister here are from Kenya, or many more. I don't know how many more are there. So I grew up in Kenya partly. I've grown up in Europe. I've lived in the US for about 20 years now. And I'm here with my wonderful and beautiful daughter too. I have 2 more that are not in this room. She's there taking some pictures of her mother. So essentially, thank you so much, Lady Mariame. I first met Lady Mariame when I was transitioning through different UN offices at the Secretary General's office, where I was a principal advisor there for his scientific advisory committee. And since then, we just struck a chord. I was so impressed with the work that Mariame is doing, particularly for the disadvantaged girls in different difficult circumstances. And I heard also of Mariame's own story, which brought tears to my eyes, but now I cry tears of joy when I see the success that she's transitioning to from year to year. So thank you and congratulations for the 10th anniversary that we are celebrating today. But I think each journey is different. Each journey comes with a story, and that story has been built over time with resilience for the past 10 years, and we have to acknowledge that. So congratulations. So today, as we stand here, I've had colleagues talk about data, and each time they mentioned it, my ears, grew bigger to hear more. And Bushan, it's like you picked the words out of my mouth. Why do we need to care about the populations? But the problem now, John mentioned earlier on, that we are kind of diminished the value of leaving no one behind. But I would say today, we have actually diminished the value of data. And why do I say so? I've declared, within myself that we have a data emergency. Not that we don't have data, but it's just the way the world is prioritizing data. Some statistics just for you. In the last 20 round of censuses, we conduct censuses every 10-year cycle. Now we are in the 2030 round, starting this year to 2029. But in every round, we do have countries that conduct censuses. In the past one, in the last 10 years, for those that conducted censuses, only about 70% of the population was accounted for. So we don't know where 30% of the population is, meaning those populations could be these disadvantaged girls that are invisible to our statistics and therefore invisible to our programs and to our policies. Coverage for birth registration, death registration is below 50% in most of the countries, which means again, and more often, girls are the ones that are invisible. Funding for data and statistics has declined by about 40% just in the last 5 years. Meaning, again, the value that's placed on data, especially foundational data systems like censuses, like civil registration and administrative data systems are not valued. And those are the systems that are actually less expensive, especially civil registration and vital statistics. If we recorded every person as they are born, or recorded every death as a person dies and record the causes of death, then we would be able to identify the problems that we need to address in order to build a healthy human capital, as Bushan mentioned. Which means we shall be able to identify how many children are being born that we need to plan for, to anticipate and plan and put resources so that we take care of them from the time they are born to the time they go to school, to the time they seek health, to the time they transition to education, and make sure that they don't fall through the cracks. But often that's not the case. We don't record them, we don't know where they are, and especially those that are refugees and displaced, nobody cares about them, except when we get investments and efforts like what iamtheCODE is doing. And there are many of those. So I've just highlighted some statistics. And I've also mentioned that more often, it's the disadvantaged, the refugees, the displaced people that are forgotten about. The leave no one behind principle has just kind of fizzled away. And then we are fizzling and losing trust in data systems that should tell us who our populations are, where do they live, what are the problems they are facing, and how much do we need to invest in them in order to keep them healthy. We are losing that. Even getting the basic information just of how many people live in our country and who are the ones that we are receiving as visitors and what do they lack, we do not have that. So systems have failed. We saw this during COVID. 43% of the countries could not avail any mortality data. And so we were just groping and scrambling in the dark. Why? Because data is the last thing that governments, businesses, especially those that do not care about data, think about. There are businesses that care about data. I know Pricewaterhouse cares about data because the business they do, they need to know, who their target population is. But there are businesses like government businesses, they don't care about data because it's just a life one after the other. And we have to figure out how to address that. So what do we need to do as partners, as policymakers, as businesses, as colleagues and friends, the UN or private sector? What do we need to do in order to do that? It simply means we need to recommit into investments in data systems. When we have initiatives like iamtheCODE, it's good to count how many girls have coded or coding skills or we have reached. But we shouldn't stop there. we need to know what happens after they have acquired these skills and transitioned into something else. Can we establish a life cycle approach to our monitoring systems so we don't lose them, during the process? That is my, my dream. My dream is if I could find a government that could actually track their people over time and figure out where they are at each stage of life, that will be a dream government. That would be it. If I was given one, that is what I would go for. But my ambition will just stop where I am right now. I don't anticipate to lead any government because not with the caliber that we have today. But nonetheless, I hope, and I know there are governments who have really moved, to some certain levels that we could almost count everybody. We don't need a census. And it's very easy. Our systems also are very siloed. Education counts its own numbers. Health has its own numbers. The ministries of labor have their own numbers. So that interoperability between systems is another one that's fledgling our data systems. When we have connectivity and systems talking to each other, we can also interrogate that information and try to get patterns of what is emerging. If they don't talk to each other, we won't know the patterns. We won't know how education is affecting the labor force, how the labor force is affecting social protection services, or how health is impacting on school attendance and so on. Bushan mentioned about having a healthy populace, a healthy population, both mentally and physically. How many of our education systems talk about mental health? If you think about it, if you go back to your own communities where you live, very minimal, until the kids break down, until it's a point of no return, and then either they are given names, more abuse than the services and the support that they need. So all this means data. We need to know the value of our populations from the time they are born to the time they expire from this world, and not just forget about them. And that's often what's happening. That's why our systems are not counting people. So what do I now say about our girls? Why do we need to invest in girls? I think Bushan touched on that. When we invest in a woman in Africa, we say you invest in a household. Sorry for my brothers, when you invest in a man, you invest in a person. That is just what I grew up knowing. And I know that there are many men in this world that are just as good as the saying for the women. So, but whoever came up with that saying, I don't know. I think it was an experience of an individual, and then it has picked up. But essentially, investing in a woman means a healthier family, a thriving family, a family that will eat well, a family that will push the children to go to school and acquire skills and so on. Of course, supported by their spouses. And we know children born to educated women will thrive, will have healthier lives, and will eat well, and therefore their health will also be good. So investing in women is a lifetime investment of generations. And we need to appreciate that and make sure that we count on that. So for us today, I leave you with just two messages. One, let's all recommit to making sure we use evidence in whatever we do, not just by counting, for example, how many kids or girls have computers or have coding skills, but how many have made use of those skills and what impact is it generating within themselves, their families, and the communities at large. The second one is to my colleagues, iamtheCODE, which I'm part of as a board member, that let's not just commit to counting how many more coders we have, but also how many more we transition into responsibilities and make them unstoppable. we want them to be unstoppable. I grew up in a rural village in Kenya. I didn't know one day I will actually be briefing the Secretary General. That is, I want those girls to be the Secretary General themselves, beyond what I did. So thank you so much, and congratulations again for excellent work. And I commit myself to continue supporting the cause and to make sure that I give you the skills and the support that I have acquired over time in order to make iamtheCODE the most successful venture we can have. Thank you.
It means a lot. When we were doing this for the last 10 years, I had mentors, and Priscilla is one of them. The day she met me at the DSG office, and I just knew that this woman has to come. And she has become the mother I never had, and she will always tell me the truth and hold me accountable. And that sometimes we need this when you are building this movement. You need people who knows and have knowledge, and that's why with this community is you will be here with us in 2030, and I know that. So my other mentor is James Mwangi, and he's a very busy man, and you'll tell me why I talk to Kenyans all the time. But they are leaders. They are honestly, it's just, I met Dr. Mwangi, and I've been looking up to him for so many years, not only because he's the CEO of the Equity Bank, one of the biggest banks in Kenya, but also he's got a foundation. And we have been so lucky recently to sign an MOU with the Equity Bank Foundation. iamtheCODE, during COVID-19, what I did, I managed to build a 65,000 courses, a platform. And as Dr. Priscilla said, if we're going to make sure young women and girls and boys are learning how to code, they're getting life skills and soft skills, someone must build the content and invest in that. And then that's why it is an honor, Dr. Mwangi, to have you in the room, because your voice in Africa, for people like us, our generation, to have you, backing us, signing an MOU, mobilizing your entire team in Nairobi to make sure the iamtheCODE platform is being used by the 100,000 people you have been helping and investing in, is a true honor to us, sir. So over to you.
Thank you very much, my friend Lady Mariam. And good evening. As I said, we met with Mariam not too long, but I've been in this space for a long time. I've been one of the evangelists of financial inclusion, because we know access to finance improve lives, change lives, and give people opportunities for building assets and security for that reason. And broadly, as she said, beyond the financial group, which is the largest financial group in sub-Saharan Africa in market cap outside South Africa, we were comparing notes. And I realized that we introduced education for orphans. And to date, we have 60,000 who have gone through high school and 29,000 through university. Here in the US, we have 1,100. In the Ivy League schools, we have 259, with 45 of them being in Harvard. And this 87% are orphans. But how we educated them was when we pay with partners for their secondary education. But for university education, whether it's in a public university or here, we give them or outsource to them digital work, the digital work of the bank. So because they have internship with the bank before going to university, they are familiar. And so they earn their way and they earn their scholarship. But when we met and we talked about coding, I realized what a change this program would have if we had trained the 100,000 on fourth industrial technologies, particularly coding, that they would not depend on working for equity, but would work in a competitive world. And so, well, I was obsessed with the financial inclusion, financial, in entrepreneurship. I realized the world was bigger than the ecosystem of equity. And that through collaborations and partnerships with people like Lady Mariam, we could empower these 100,000 to work in the world from their homes because of digital skills. So coding struck me, and I have harassed her a lot. I've got the first 20,000 licenses, and I'm feeling that that goes a long way, particularly to create the first generation of professionally trained. When I talked about it, my colleagues were very skeptical and said, James, do you think there is somebody who could give quality coding training for free? I said, met Mariam, but we looked at each other straight into the eyes and we trusted each other and thought we could. So he said, we would like to verify. I said, you talk to Mariam. She said, sign an NDA and I will give you access to review. Our technical team that plans the IT backbone of the group jumped into deep dive into the system. And the response was, James, when can we sign? This is high quality stuff. And I want to comment because it's being appealed free doesn't mean it's low quality. And it was very humbling. So I should say this. And then said, before you train the scholars, why don't you train the 14,000 staff of the bank so that they become trainers of trainers and support the others and essentially and support customers. So eventually this training would be really, really significant. I want to thank those who have supported. I'm glad a fellow Kenyan seems to be in the forefront, being on the board. I think this is the kind of things we really require. Life skills, competitive life skills that put you at the center of a labor market. African population has a lineage of 18 years. So when we empower them with these kind of skills, we have given them livelihood for the next 80 years. And that is what we seem not to understand. Education is good. I don't want to discount education, but we have realized education in Africa has led to joblessness. You have open unemployment of 50, 60% of an entire population. But when you empower people with the skills, they break the barriers of time and geography and can be working for a Californian company when in Kenya. They can work for a Japanese company while in Kenya. So life skills, and particularly those required this time and age, the digital era, I think are important things that I've learned. And Mariam, I want to be part and parcel of the team supporting you to reach 1 million coders. Can we have 1 million for Africa? Because then we'll be able to avert one of this. Let me close by saying what Miriam you're doing to contributing to Africa is making Africa evolve and transform. A transformed Africa is a sustainable world. We're not doing it for Africa, we are doing it for ourselves because we are perpetuating a stable, sustainable world. We are all in it together, like we have been taught by climate change. It didn't matter who polluted. We're in it all together. We're in it together when we leave a continent that by 2050, according to IMF data, will produce 42% of the world labor force. The question is, what will be the productivity of that labor force? Who will pay for a lower productivity other than the consumer? Who is the consumer? Is he who is well positioned? Just a thought. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mwangi. Thank you. For you to be in the room, it's for me, it's very humbling to have you here, as I said, as my mentor. And I have many of them. I would like to recognize some people who just entered the room as well. Rauf, please say hello to everybody. So I've got so many mentors. So Rauf, he's the second or third in command at the UNHCR. And I remember him welcoming us in 2017 as a group of young global leaders, which I'm going to give the microphone shortly. And we went there, and we have no idea what was happening in the refugee camp in Kenya. And today, 10 years, iamtheCODE is 10 years old. And this was 9 years ago when he welcomed us as a group of young global leaders who we had no idea. We've never been to a refugee camp before. And today, iamtheCODE is one of the flagship programs that is right now in Kakuma, but also Dadaab. And I'll make some small announcements. So we have given the Equity Foundation group around. We just increase the numbers. James, you'll be pleased to know that you have now 500,000 users. So given to, and we have the South African government who's going to be here shortly, waiting for the minister. We're going to sign an MOU between in front of you that because South Africa is leading the G20, and you'll find out that we also have given South Africa this content so they can use it within their communities. Not only that, I'm going to Jamaica after here with my fellow young global leader. Jamaica will be the 89th country. So we are going, so we're going global. But before that, please allow me to welcome my fellow young global leaders who will just say a couple of words before. Luana, I want you to come and say hello because, as you know, Brazil is part of this, and I've been lucky to go to Brazil to demonstrate that, like I said, the social economic value for girls' education is not just African issue, it's not a geopolitical issue, it's a systematic issue. So Luana, please come and say hello to everyone. And say a few words, because Luana is an activist, but she's running an amazing organization in Brazil, and she's my fellow young global leader. And so we would like to look into COP20, look into favelas of Brazil, Black girls and brown girls around the world. What can we do to make sure these young girls are getting the skills they need? And she is taking us in the Amazon forest in November in Brazil to go and see what's happening. What are we doing as population to destroy the life of people? But also how are we living, as Dr. Priscilla said, how are we leaving people behind? So please, thank you for coming, and please share what we can do as a community, even in Brazil, to help young women and girls.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Boa tarde. Boa tarde aí, viu? Good. So we are training our Portuguese, right? So, today is not about, it is about Brazil because we are talking about the launching of a big fund, Tropical Forest Fund, that needs also to go to our girls. And I'll talk briefly about that as well here. But I would like to start with a round of applause to Lady Miriam and the amazing work you've been doing. It's so brave and courageous, and congratulations for the 10th anniversary. We know how you put a lot of efforts on this. So thank you so much for your bravery, your courage, and we are here because of your leadership. Thank you so much. Obrigada. Yes. So, I'll be very brief. We've met because we are both young global leaders from the World Economic Forum. And I'm Luana Genot. I'm the CEO of Instituto Identidades do Brasil, Identities Institute, and we provide racial and gender literacy, like crossed with climate just literacy, to more than 700,000 people in Brazil. Because consciousness is like the base we need to have like awareness in the strategies we may make in our businesses and also in education. And in Brazil, we have more than 110 million Black people, Black and indigenous. So we are the biggest Afro diaspora in the world. And sometimes we don't get as much connected as we should with the African continent, for example. And I've been keeping talking about that with Lady Miriam, and then we are trying to build bridges among those two, very similar places and ecosystems that has a lot of things to do together. So Lady Miriam is doing a great work in Brazil, and we hopefully can get more and more people to have more literacy about racial and gender and other big topics to better navigate. So for me, iamtheCODE is doing an amazing work because, obviously it's about learning how to code, but I want us to go beyond and think about decoding the world where we are in, right? So it's a way beyond like the code about coding, using AI, because today's AI, tomorrow will be another platform, another, technology. But I want to think about technology as us, right? As indigenous knowledge tells us, everything's technology. Can be, the low tech or the high tech. But what we need as humans is to decode the systems where we are in. So we've been training people, companies, schools, girls, to decode racism, to decode patriarchal modes. So I think iamtheCODE go beyond, coding in a sense of like getting high-tech technology, but decoding the world. So that's why it's so brilliant and so brave to help us, get connected to opportunities that can make us thrive, to get connected with people who are inspiring us. So decoding the world is like about this, is about going beyond the high tech and accessing the whole technology we all are in ourselves, in our, in our way of behaving and to navigate through the world. So my words here also, just to give you a brief context, Brazil is like the 10th biggest economy in the world. We have, as I was saying, more than 110 million Black and Indigenous people. We are going to the Amazon as a YGL community by the end of this year. And right now, President Lula is just a few blocks away. I came from there, is launching the TFFF. It's like the Tropical Funds Forever, Tropical Forest Fund Forever. Yeah, so it's like billions of dollars designated to preserve forests. And Late Miriam and I, we were talking in Geneva briefly a few weeks ago about how we still are missing the interconnection between the climate and the nature-based solutions and the way we need to designate those funds to women and girls, right? Because if there is, a flood or some natural disasters and there is no more fish, as you're saying, this girl will probably need to, be into prostitution in order to survive. That's happening in Senegal, but that's happening also in Brazil. And how are the funds, the new funds that are emerging, the climate and green funds or whatever name we need to tag on this, are addressing those issues? So we have now opportunity to connect the nature-based solutions and the climate finance to inclusion and to, finance programs like iamtheCODE and others that are addressing the issue of leaving people behind, because we need to connect those things. And what I saw when we were with the Brazilian government, right, because I'm also advisor for the government, we were saying, okay, we are investing a lot in infrastructure. We are receiving a lot of people at COP30, which is amazing, but we need to connect this new green economy with inclusion. Otherwise, we are creating a new green colonization, and we don't want that, right? So please, let's keep this conversation going, because we need to connect, more and more than ever. The work you're doing is very needed, because we need to talk to them or to us to connect inclusion and nature, because we are all nature and we should be at the center of this conversation, not in parallel. So yeah, so that's the challenge. So please, if you come to COP30, please let me know. And we try to keep this conversation going, put more pressure to have the funds also to finance initiatives like iamtheCODE, like what we do in Brazil, training our AI model with indigenous wisdom. That's what we do. And so I think we have so many things to do together, and hopefully we can do that in the right way. I think we are at a pivotal moment where we can connect inclusion and climate, and I hope we can make that happen together. Juntas. Parabéns! Obrigada.
So much. So this is a new connection. Again, when you come to I Am the Code, you are making connections. These are real people on the ground. She is like massive tech activist who's been educating people around racism, but also not just racism are blaming people, but educating them that if you don't invest in women and girls in populations, you are leaving people behind. That's why the work we're doing in refugee camps across the globe and IDP centers are critical, because we cannot show the evidence. If you don't include young women and girls from different communities, the data is blurry, and Priscilla talks about this. The data is blurry. The data is not correct. If you don't include my girls into your data, the data is false. I'm talking now as a coder. And so really use the data we have and start including the marginalized communities inside your report, whatever you're doing, but go and see them on the ground, meet these people, listen to them, and they will give you access to their lives, which I had the privilege to have. And we would like to go for a break shortly, but before that, I just want to remind you again that there are some people in the room here. When we go for break, please get to know them. Dr. Mwagi doesn't come to events often, he's extremely busy, but his foundation will change the life of people in Kenya. And him just saying one single thing about utilization, including finance, will change so many people's life from Kibera to the refugee camps. So again, take the opportunity to meet him while he's here. The Minister of Youth, Disability Advisor of the President of South Africa will be here shortly, but we would like you to take some drink and coffee, network while we wait. But before that, I just would like to, again, thank my fellow young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. Really, thank you for welcoming me in your country in Jamaica. I know it's a big deal for you, for me to come and launch this. We will make you proud. We'll make sure that Jamaican young people are learning how to code. We're all together as a community. But before that, please, Kanika, you and I know each other forever. You're a businesswoman. Come, you've been investing in Africa, in the Middle East, in Asia. You are an artist, you're a businesswoman, and you've seen us struggling from the beginning. And you know we need this funding, we need the money, we need to get the young girls around the world. We need, Kanika, we need them to have a good life. Enough is enough now, right? You know, and you have said that. So what can we do to make sure that we are building partnership and you have a massive voice here in New York, but also in the Middle East, where Bahrain, where you are. And so please tell us how we can make sure those girls don't ask for sanitary pads anymore. Please.
Thank you, Lady Mariam. Hashtag sustainability, hashtag leadership, hashtag entrepreneurship, hashtag women empowerment. Well, this is what we hear all over, especially at the UNGA, especially with what the SDGs represent. And we say amplify, influencers have emerged, and we bow down to the influencers and say, yes, we need that and we need PR. But what I would like to say is that we're constantly working towards goals. And the goals seem far away. They remain goals. That's where we are at the moment. Not to depress you, but that's where we are. But I have seen with I Am the Code, as Lady Mariam said, I think since 2016, that these hashtags are not just hashtags when it comes to the girls at I Am the Code. They're hashtags that turn into action. The thought that develops into action that we're talking about. And I just wanted to share a few anecdotes before answering the entire question that Lady Mariam said back. So in 2016, when I met Lady Mariam, we were at a World Economic Forum gathering, exactly like this, and the words haven't changed, the hashtags haven't changed, the conversation hasn't changed, but the action that she took has. And she came up to me and she said, which SDG do you represent? And I said, why does it have to be one? And then she looked at me, and it was the first time I've ever met her. Actually, we didn't even know each other. We just shared the same birthday. And so I went up to her, happy birthday, happy birthday. Okay, which SDG? And I said, well, many of them. And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, we we're in zero waste infrastructure, we design build airports, but we're very interested in our workforce, and we create dignified living for the workforce with sustainable mobile housing so that they can cater in an educated way to the productivity that's required to build infrastructure. And I said we also set up nutrition, and we set up buildings where if we go, let's say we go to Delhi International Airport, we'll set up entire canteens, entire villages, and we'll acquire buildings, bring from the Middle East all our staff cooks, and we feed them. And so she just said, okay. And then she walked away. And I was like, okay. And she goes, and after that, then I heard from her. Because she had digested and seen the synergies that exist as far as the circularity is concerned. And I thought, in my head at that time, I said, oh, Mariam just thinks there's only one SDG. Mariam doesn't realize circularity. So she invited me. This is what went to my head. And she knew that went to my head. She's quite intuitive. Then she invited me very early on for first to be on a podcast of hers. Then she said, can you talk to the girls on leadership? And she kept doing this every couple of weeks. And I would go in, and you haven't seen anything yet here. And then I understood the true circularity that the SDGs encompass. That is what I Am the Code is. And I know a lot of people have talked about this here. John MacArthur, when he said, I am the code. And initially I was wrong. Initially I thought it was about tech, and I said, no, there's no intersection. We're Luddites. We're not really into tech. We're about building real infrastructure, green steel, circular process, and aluminum. We're about building. And so she said, can my girls work with you? And I said, but we don't have any tech requirement just now. She invited me again. And I want to share with you something that happened. One of the times when she invited me, she was very systematic in how she got me involved from the corporate side, from businesses that grow all over the world. So we're located in Germany, we're located in New York, we're located in UAE, she said, and India. We built the Mumbai International Airport. And she said, okay. I said, we want girls to be involved in the build out of infrastructure. And we had a story where we wanted to have women who had recovered from their lives, who had been trafficked and they'd gone into the world of construction to be working in the Mumbai airport. And we were told by the owners, we have an owner to model to cut corruption. Why? Well, you can't, there are no toilets here. Mariam has done that. Mariam has created that, and I've seen it live in the schools, in the camp, all around. This infrastructure that PPPs, when you're looking, and I'm talking about the owner of the airport, couldn't create and was scared to create, those bold steps have been taken. So when you talk about partnerships, it's not just what do we do and what money do we put forward. She made me invest the time, and I wanted to keep doing it. I remember very clearly, not only was it from younger generation, but she also had the older generation involved. And she'd made me talk about leadership. And we said leadership is about balance and the value system, and the balance within ourselves and the true ethics and value system that you follow. That defines what leadership is, balance as an individual. She's created that. And how did I get further involved? Not what we give to them. When I asked them, each one of them came on board. We did a 1-hour session on leadership. And they did meditation during that leadership. And I said, just meditate, close your eyes. They came forward. One said, I said, what's your wish? Do the meditation and then close your eyes and tell me your wish. One said, I want to be an author. The other said, I want to be a singer. And they started, and I said, work on the steps. Through that whole discussion, they worked on the steps. And I can see already, I'm seeing those girls up here whom she showed, and they've started making those steps. Some of them have created big steps. But the biggest thing was what we feel. Do you know, during this whole process that she's involving us, and I think that's where partnerships need to come in, is the feeling that we are developing our dreams. I felt that I had meditated. She would do it in the middle of the day. She doesn't care about, she wouldn't say which schedule, but it's all designed. The busiest day is no, come. And I felt that did not need to do my meditation for the day. The interaction was so powerful and so real. There were 300 girls. We haven't shown up as 300 people here, but 300 girls have shown up every time she's done a session in Kakuma, live stream, despite the inhibitions of technology. They still went through it. And in fact, the technology worked even better than it has here in Kakuma. So it was so well organized. And I think when it comes to partnerships, what we need to remember is how not only do we give in terms of time, they can feel the energy and intent that we're putting across. So we have to be the code, as everyone has said, to realize the dreams that they have and their wishes into action. And that's, I think, the partnership should be built in. You've made a very good road to bringing that in and making sure that we realize their dreams and the hashtags are no longer hashtags.
Thank you so much. I hope that they will. The minister is here shortly. Is here. I'm just going to recognize the minister, but I really want to say thank you for being consistently being with us, because you have to be consistent to be part of these journeys.
Yes.
Yeah?
And I do want to say one more thing quickly about longevity, Mariam. That these days, just like businesses have, and that's where our synergy comes in. The business went around 1975, the business that I created 2001. But people forget that what you're doing, many NGOs come and go, but you have created that longevity. And Amina yesterday said that she wants Africa to, Amina being the UNDSG, she was very articulate in saying that she wants Africa to represent the way India represents its states rather than individual countries. But what you have done is gone beyond borders, right? So the fact that you've now added Georgia, which I didn't even know about yet, it's gone beyond borders to represent and make sure that you're developing culturally to each I am the code, that it's not about technology, right? It's about yourself.
Thank you, Kanika. Thank you so much. You know how to articulate I am the code. Minister, I would like to acknowledge you. Thank you. I know you've been very busy at the UN. Thank you so much. But before the minister take the stage, I would like to acknowledge Igla as well. Gabi, I don't know if you can show the video of the Kakuma girls very quickly, and I will get the Dadaab. We just recently been working in Dadaab, which is another refugee camp in Kenya. Population of 300,000 people plus. So we have 2 camps now. I am the code. We'll have an academy in Dadaab. We're just building the place now. So we have a teacher champion in the refugee camp who would like to join us and say hello, which is Mohammed. And then we'll get minister to come on stage, and I would like Dr. Mwangi and Dr. Priscilla to witness this, because this is, again, as we talk about history and evidence, we will be signing an MOU with the government of South Africa in front of you. So that's a big deal.
Hello, I hope you're hearing me.
Mohammed, how are you?
I'm doing great. Everything is well.
How are you? Thank you so much for taking the call this late.
Yeah, my name is. It's a great pleasure for me to be on the stage on today. As a mentor of a code as a central primary school in Hagade refugee camp, this is very special moment for me, for our learners, and for the entire refugee camp in the Dadaab. Being a part of the I Am the Code is not a just initiative, it is a lifeline of hope and opportunity for refugee children who live in one of the largest refugee camps in the world. When I Am the Code came to the Dadaab, it brought it with more coding lessons. It brought hope, the hope that every refugee children, regardless of their circumstance, have the right to learn, to grade, and to dream for a better tomorrow. For our children here in the Dadaab, especially girls, This has been a transformational. In fact, over the past few months, I have witnessed the refugee girls engage with idea big batch, like for example, learning modules on safe online and other, so as much as they can. These are not just lessons in coding; they are lessons in confidence, resilience, and leadership. Many of our learners, despite the hardship and displacement, have stepped up. I see, like for example, to be they shown that if that they are shown that even refugee children overlooked can rise to become innovators and leaders of tomorrow. As a mentor, I cannot express enough how inspiring is to see children who face daily struggles of life in refugee camp remain determined, curious, and eager to learn. They are proof that talent is universal, even if opportunity is not. Thanks to I am the code, they know have the opportunity to unlock their potential. Of course, the journey has it is challenging. Internet connectivity in the DAB is weak, and times I stay you cannot turn to those barriers even today. But on behalf of refugee children in the entire community in the DAB, I want to say a heartfelt thank you. I am the code, Lady Mariam, who visited us several times in the DAB. Thank you for believing us, for making refugee children a part of this global movement, and for showing the world that even in the refugee camp, bright lights and hope can shine. As we celebrate the 10th anniversary of I Am the Code, we celebrate not only the global achievement, but also the voices and the dream of refugee children who are now part of the powerful story. Together we are coding not just a skill, but a future of dignity, inclusion, and opportunity. Congratulations, and I appreciate
Shukran.
I'm the code on the remarkable milestone for refugee children of the DAB. Thank you, and have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Teacher Mohammed. Thank you. So Teacher Mohammed is one of our teacher champions in Dadaab, doing extraordinary work in difficult conditions as well. So we're just preparing the table for signing the MOU before the minister come on stage. But let us show the video we showed today, this morning, Gabi, the girls in Kakuma in 2016, what they look like and what they are now. So we're talking about evidence-based information before and after. So let's show them a video, yes.
Just gonna get it up online.
Okay. Great. So let's put the chairs, and what you're going to be witnessing shortly as you go and network is the signing up of the MOU between the Minister of Youth and Disability in South Africa, represented by this amazing woman I met who, in South, I was so inspired, and I realized that I could work with her to make sure not only youth are included, but disabled people are also included in the work. So that's why I Am the Code is happy to give 600,000 users to the South African government. So let's see if we can get the video up. Is it the video of the girls we showed this morning?
We're trying to get it up.
Okay, great. So we will have, while we wait for the video to go up on stage, we will have some of the report will be on stage, so you can take them with you, and we will have them on the QR code. It's going to be a living document for the next 5 years, so the countdown starts now. So in 2030, when we come back here, you can see the evidence. So we're going to design a timeline, which we have already done at I Am the Code since 2015, when I stood up at the UN to say, I'm going to teach girls how to code. And all the way to 2030, you'll see the information. We received funding recently to get this work done. So I'm going to continue going across the globe and meeting people. We're going to get Jamaica going. Dr. Wangi and his team are actually starting to enroll people right now as well. And I know that the South African team will also start getting people running as soon as we go. So we're going to get the number. We're halfway now. 550,000 people have been reached by I Am the Code. And so we have, we will get more than that. And this will be a bigger story because, as Dr. Priscilla said, when we come back 5 years from now, we can demonstrate as a community, as group, as businesses. As Kanika said, we will demonstrate that we have taught girls how to code. And as Bushan said, have we taken care of the well-being of the girls in the meantime? And that will be critical. Are they healthy? have invested in their mental health and well-being. In Kakuma, everywhere, you see that as well. On the report, you'll have the voice of the girls who I met before and after. Do we have the video? No? Okay. So we don't have the video, so I will just give the floor to Minister. So Minister can come and really share what you and I shared when I was in South Africa. It's an honor to have you here, Minister. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CEO of the iamtheCODE Foundation, Lady Miriam, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start by apologizing for arriving at this time. You know, our diaries here are just a little bit crazy. But I prepared a speech, and please allow me to deliver the speech I prepared. I therefore start by saying, allow me to begin by extending our sincere gratitude and appreciation to the iamtheCODE Foundation and its leadership for bringing us together, both to reflect on the theme, the socio-economic values of girls' education, and to engage with the critical challenge of bringing the gap between young people's immense potential and their essential participation in shaping the present and future socio-economic prospects of our society. From the outset, I invite all of us to put together our hands to acknowledge and honor the visionary leadership of Lady Miriam. As a catalyst and pioneer driving systemic change through digital transformation, and the founder and the CEO of this remarkable organization. Within a decade of iamtheCODE initiatives, spanning 88 countries and refugee camps, Miriam and her team have provided us with concrete evidence of how digital transformation can and should be leveraged in order to leapfrog developmental gaps in low-resource environments. They've done this in ways that are shaping our economies to reflect the aspirations of the majority and not a privileged few. As we convene this afternoon, the reality outside is characterized by untenable disparities, discontent, distrust, and democracies at crossroads. The prevailing levels of economic fragility and uncertainty denote the need for all of us to reimagine alternative pathways to a just, equitable, humane, and collective prosperous society. With only 15% of the SDGs on track to be achieved by 2030, and about 37 of these targets having shown no progress, or even worse, having regressed below the 2015 baseline, the road ahead requires catalysts and agents of transformation that are ready to abandon what simply feels comfortable. As the saying goes, a woman's place is everywhere. The extent to which you have prioritized the girl child is consistent with the message advanced by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who reminds us that women's participation is essential for building a better world through science and technology. Yet today, women still represent just 1/3 of the global scientific community, deprived of adequate funding, publishing opportunities, and leadership positions in universities. Women and girls continue to face an uphill battle in building careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. He further cautioned that women are excluded, and when they are excluded, science itself suffers. The more women are locked out of STEM, the more we diminish our collective capacity to confront urgent global challenges, from climate change and food security to public health and technological transformation. On digital innovation, he observed, look no further than the development of new digital technologies. Men dominate the field at every level, including in artificial intelligence. The result is a surge of biased technologies and embedded inequality, risking a new era of digital chauvinism. We can and must do better. We should be expanding scholarships, internships, and mentorship opportunities to open doors for women and girls in STEM. We should be creating workplaces that attract, retain, and advance women in science. We should be encouraging girls' early engagement in STEM through schools, communities, and digital platforms to dismantle the stereotypes that for too long have held young women back from reaching their full potential. And the code is precisely the kind of initiative we need to unlock the socioeconomic value of and set a new path for young women and girls. So, Program Director, the challenge you have placed before us is both timely and urgent. Indeed, our skills development landscape and labor market trends are evolving at neck-breaking speed, disrupting not only how we work, but also how we value and understand the very future of work. This challenge was captured long ago by President Harry Truman, who warned as early as 1947 that we have proclaimed our faith in education as a means of equalizing the conditions of men. But there's a grave danger that our present policy will make it an instrument for creating the very inequalities it was designed to prevent. If the ladder of educational opportunity rises higher at the doors of some youth and scarcely rises at all at the doors of others, while at the same time formal education is made a prerequisite to occupational and social advance, then education may become the means not of eliminating race and class distinctions, but of deepening and solidifying them. In other words, the question of who gets access to which skills and at what level is inextricably linked to what and for whom we believe education is for. Whatever the choice, the implications extend far beyond the walls of our educational institutions. They demand that we exercise greater care and responsibility in the views we advocate, the values we promote or diminish, and the interests we choose to advance or ignore. As Batiste and others remind us, education is neither culturally neutral nor inherently fair. It carries the weight of the societies from which it emerges. It can produce injustice, but it can also resist it. In South Africa, education was used to oppress us. Education thus provides us with an ideal space to examine the diverse and often mutually reinforcing ways in which social injustice can be both perpetuated and resisted. That is why, as we empower girls through education, we must broaden our understanding of both the purpose and the function of education. Equally important, we must diversify where we believe education can and should be obtained. It cannot all be about universities and colleges. It cannot all be about formal certificates and degrees, and while these are very much important, young people's ideas, wherever they are, must be nurtured, supported, and transformed into commercially viable ventures, regardless of their formal education status. This is the ladder of opportunity we must build, not one that stands tall at the door of a few, but one that stretches wide enough to reach us all. In the domain of new technologies, women have emerged as a formidable force, driving the creation of gender-responsive innovations that are transforming lives. In agriculture, women remain the backbone of food production and security across much of the world. We must now leverage technology as a powerful tool in the hands of women to improve irrigation systems, to promote sustainable farming practices, and strengthen local economies. As the world shifts and communication becomes increasingly digital, relationships between people and machines are transforming, and so too is the meaning of literacy. Literacy is no longer just the ability to read and write. It now encompasses our capacity to interact with the world and to shape it. In a 2025 book titled Am I Literate? Redefining Literacy in the Age of Artificial Intelligence, Kate Arthur defines literacy as the valued and socially accepted skills, knowledge, and tools necessary to create, communicate, and understand information. In other words, we are literate when we can access data, transform it into knowledge, and respond meaningfully, all within the material and social frameworks that enable connection. Literacy, then, is not static. It evolves with society's needs, channels, and technologies. As we navigate the fourth industrial revolution, marked by the integration of artificial intelligence, robotics, and computational systems into daily life, the definition of literacy is evolving at an unprecedented rate. Today, we are on top of your field. Next month, your knowledge is outdated. We are all forced to keep up with the times. All of us are now required to become AI literate. But what does that mean? The answer may differ depending on context, but the OECD recent AI literacy report offers a useful guide. AI literacy represents the technical knowledge, durable skills, and future-ready attitudes required to thrive in a world influenced by AI. It enables learners to engage with, create, manage, and design AI while critically evaluating its benefits, risks, and ethical implications. This is particularly relevant to future levels of industrial productivity and employability. As AI systems automate structured tasks, augment decision-making, and reshape industries, we are left with no choice but to adapt, reskill, and upskill. As Professor Marala reminds us, success in the 4IR depends on our ability to unleash the full scientific, industrial, and creative potential of society. Failure to respond adequately to these technological advancements and their infrastructural demands poses a serious threat to South African industry. It would endanger the well-being of our people and hinder their ability to participate as equals in the global economy. Already, classrooms reflect this transformation. Our classrooms have become a three-way interaction, a teacher, AI, student dynamic. Consequently, our national educational authorities are having to review and redefine teachers' roles and their required competencies, strengthen teacher training institutions, and establish appropriate capacity building programs to prepare teachers to work effectively and ethically with artificial intelligence, both as an object and subject of study. And crucially, how we keep up with these trends must reduce, not reproduce, existing socioeconomic disparities. At this moment, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed within immense pride that we do announce that as part of our G20 Empowerment of Women Legacy Project, a new partnership has been established between the iamtheCODE Foundation and the ministry in the presidency responsible for women, youth, and persons with disabilities. This partnership will extend AI, coding and robotics, training and capacity building opportunities given to our young people across South Africa. The signing of the Memorandum of Understanding just after this will mark not just an agreement, but the beginning of a new era for youth development in South Africa. Once again, I thank you again for listening to my speech, even if I'm so late. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I heard Minister speak in South Africa because, as you know, South Africa is hosting the G20, and we will be going in South Africa to really be part of the whole G20 summit, because it's really important that we bring education inside the G20, because without that we're going to miss out again. These voices must be heard. So for us, it is really an honor to do this with you, Minister, and you have an amazing team. I'm very comfortable with your team. They're so great. They're fantastic, and they're so fast, and it's just really remarkable. But you know, as Sarah prepared the document for us to come and say, I again would like to acknowledge everybody in the room. Thank you for coming. It's just the beginning. And you've been coming every other year as we do this as an organization to show the evidence that we are doing this. This is an evidence now. It's an evidence that we have leaders who believe in us. Having Dr. James Mwangi believing in I Am the Code, but also mobilizing his team. Those are technical guys sitting in Nairobi who were tough with me. We had a 1 hour call. They were saying to me, show us the stuff you want to show to Dr. Mwangi. Johnny was there. Johnny was scared, like, wow, what are they doing to you? But they have seen that we were not joking. This is a very serious stuff for us. And that's why we're doing again with Minister. I met her team and they're extra amazing, Zandi there, and they were just so responsive. So for us, it helps us when government is aware of the risk and when government is engaged in getting young women and girls how to code. After here, we will be going at the UN. We're asked to come to show the report at the UN. The ITU has given us a space, so I'm gonna, after here, I will rush very quickly at the UN to really show, not only share about all these stories you've heard here, also we're gonna go and really show to the world that 10 years ago, I was in those rooms, begging for people to understand that I Am the Code will teach 1 million women and girls how to code. So Minister, it is my honor to do this with you this week. So over to us. Sarah, here's the microphone. So we would like to call Dr. Mwangi. I don't know. I will. Okay.
I never knew.
Oh, is it okay? Yeah. Okay. Yes.
So, Mariam, sorry to interrupt your programming. I did not know you were going to sign. This was a surprise, but it was her birthday a couple of days ago, and I said, "What will Mariam appreciate?" And when she opens it, then she can see it's very relevant to the fact that she's going to the UN.
So much better.
We have some beautiful pens. The United Nations.
Really? Wow.
Yes, that's what.
Yours was
Dr. Mwangi, please come and bless us. We can't do this without you. So Dr. Mwangi will stay next to me, and Priscilla will stand next to Bushana. Where are you, Bushan? Bushan, you have to witness this. I hope they're working. I hope it works.
It was new. I was just there before this meeting.
They are working. Yeah. They're working.
Okay. You're really messing with her.
Priscilla, you can come and sit. Come and stand next to me, please. And maybe come in the middle. Please come. Please come. You have to witness this.
Yeah.
You have to witness this history being made for young women and girls all across the world.
It's not working.
You working, Sarah?
No, the other pen's not working.
No, doctor, you can have that. I'll have your roll. Yes. So this is a very important moment.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I'll go for the chair. Please.
So yeah, let's make history. 5 years from now, South Africa will come and say we've done this. Thank you, doctor. Absolutely. And it's like we just give you 600,000 users, so you can absolutely use as much as you like. We can witness it just to put some scrolling down here, and just scroll down a little bit for you as a witness. Yes. As well. Just as a witness. Yes, you can sign that one as well. nations are united, everything works. Right, so you can just stand up and change. Thank you so much. I wish your government all the best. And I am going to do everything we can to make sure that young women and girls and disabled and boys, as Lisa always tells me, that they are all good. In 2030, we have to come back here and show the evidence. You can count, and you can count on her to hold us accountable.
Yes.
Dr. Magia. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You mind if I get a picture
Yes.
of you four? Okay. Yeah. Wait, I'm gonna step back and just get everybody. Yeah, and one last one. Thank you so much.
Please see that. One last one.
All right, I'm taking one last one. He's jumping in. I'm waiting on them. Okay, over here. One last one. Excellent. Thank you, guys.
To the World Economic Forum. My name is Nugok Mayen. I'm 13 years old.
I live in Kakuma refugee camp.
I am a Burundian by nationality.
I am a Sudanese girl.
When I finish my study, I would like to be a journalist.
I would like to be a doctor.
I would like to be a pilot.
I would like to be a lawyer. Thank you.
Freedom of the press and of expression, poverty eradication, in Lokipoto waters of irrigation sprinkle, birds of farming tinkle, our crops flourishing, livestock nourishing, in health and wealth we dance, economic rise to hit the mark, movement lighter, economic better, because of you, our babbling vision, decent housing up in construction, lighting up our vision bubbles, in rural electrification we shine, our rural areas shine, creating greater local opportunities. You shine in economic activities. In literacy and health, Zoom, healthier and wealthier we grow. Free primary education babbling, free day secondary bubbles. Our vision bubbles with technology, our learning at tablets, our reading at tab on the tablets. We sing sweet songs of success because of you, our babbling vision. Virtues of equality, Zoom, women icons of dignity, offices they hold with integrity, our healthcare babbling with facilities, cheap and affordable healthcare we see, free maternal care we see, our leaders are handshake one, our people in unity one, more decent housing, come, more handshakes of peace and unity, come, this vision a landmark for me and you and I, our babbling vision attain, towards a globally competitive nation, a prosperous nation. Keep babbling, babble to our canon. It's us, the Angelina Jolie girls. Gratitude.